Hello everyone, I'm here again. We're going to continue to learn a little bit about canvassing. The video last time was about 20 minutes long. I'm sorry, they're a little bit long, but we need to cover the information. I hope you don't get bored with them. Today we're going to talk about how to deal with objections. We're not going to talk about the objections itself. I know that you've covered a little bit with Dan. I'm actually going to speak about how to deal with them. Objections, first of all, are good. They're good for you. So I want you to take away from your mind that the objections are negative. They're very positive. There are 3 levels of sales, okay? The give me sales. Those are the people that are like, have no objections and they just buy. There are people who have objections, and we need to learn how to overcome them and give them something that they need. For example, if they say they have, they don't like to cook, well, okay, you try, oh, okay, well, these are easy, quick, recipes, but you see that they're really honestly not interested at all and whatsoever, and you've tried, go on to the next book. So take that objection as a positive thing and move on to something that they will need. Your job as a canvasser is to look for their need and meet it. Okay, you need to find the need and meet the need. Sometimes you can do that even before you get to the door. How is that even possible? Well, because you've been praying and you've been looking at their yards, you've been looking at, if they're Christians, if they have children, if they're disorganized, if you notice they're a little bit left behind with working in their grass. All those things give you a sense of knowing that person a little bit more in depth. If they have children, a mother will always think for her children before she ever thinks for herself. So you need to meet the objection not as something negative, but more as information for you to know where to guide or where to go in the next book. Did you know that most sales come after 5 no's? Think about that. Most sales come after 5 no's. That is statistically speaking. 8 out of 10 people who buy make an objection before they do. So objections will be there. Don't think that you're going to go canvas and people are just going to buy left, right, and center. It's just not going to happen. And it's okay. That means that you are going to get better, that you're going to learn to grow and study people's characters. And that's what Jesus did. He studied people's characters. So when they say no, it's okay. That means that you still need to work a little bit harder and still need to meet their needs. So I want you to expect them. I want you to see them as a positive thing, new information. It may be an evidence that they are in fact interested. It can be an indication that he or she has begun to warm up to the proposition while he is asking questions. If we're talking about peace above the storms and they ask, well, how do you know this is going to work for me? That's an indication that, he's really thinking, of himself. I have a help. I have a need. Can this book really do it for me? And the fact that he's asking you is giving you the opportunity to even convince him or convict him that it does work. It shows that he or she has not yet fully made a decision, that he still is using the objection to defend himself, and this is nothing to be defended, from. So use them as an evidence. I'm trying to change your mentality, I guess, a little bit with this video, is that they're not negative, they're positive. That means that they have some sort of an interest, that they're asking questions because they want to know a little bit more about the book, because they have not made a complete decision, which gives you an opportunity to sell. So objections are your friends, so there's no need to panic, okay? They are kind of like guideposts, so it's not a problem. They're to your benefit. It's a piece of information that you desperately need in order to be able to answer what their questions are that they might, buy the book. They help you know where to go and what books to show, to be able to find that need, which is something that I'm going to keep repeating over and over. It just helps you, gives you information of where to go. Did you know that people change their mind? They constantly change their mind. And if it's a woman, they change their minds even more often. So it's okay if they've said no, they're going to change their minds. Other reasons or why people object are to avoid a purchase. Sometimes they're just avoiding a purchase. Sometimes a lot of people are actually, they like to spend money, but they realize that they like to spend money, so they're using objections. They're using these questions so that they don't have to buy. So you just need to push a little bit more. Just push a little bit more to be able to get them to say yes. They're avoiding decisions. They're just excuses. So you need to try a little bit more. They don't understand what you're doing. This is something that's very, I want you to remember. When you come to the door, people don't understand necessarily what you're doing. They just think of you as a salesman, and that's the little box that they put you in. And that's not at all what it is. This is why it is so important that you speak very clear, that you repeat your canvas at certain moments. If you notice that they have a question in their face or something, repeat them yourself so that you make sure that they understand why you're there. You're not there just to sell a book. You're there to give them something that they need. You're there to help them out, and that's a totally different perspective to it. So speak not slow, but have a good speed, and not too fast, not too slow, not too loud, but not too soft. You need to practice in that, and I should have mentioned that in the first video. But what is a good speed? What is a good loudness? I can't think of the right word. So that you make sure that you are being very clear. They might be objecting to you. They might be objection to your appearance, to your introduction. They might be objection to your attitude. Therefore, it is so important that you be courteous, that you be friendly when you come to a door. So sometimes the objection has even nothing to do with your books. It has to do with you. So when you think of these things, make sure that you try to come up with a solution. If it's your appearance, what can I do? Do I need to pick up my, hair? Which is just an example. It's not necessarily, but it's your clothes. Are they not clean? Are they dirty? Are they not ironed? Is your introduction, you went too fast? You didn't respond to anything that they had to say? What is your attitude like? This is why you need to constantly be praying that the Lord gives you the right attitude and the right spirit as you do canvassing. So how do you deal with objections? Now you know they're good. Now you know that they are very positive. Objections are positive. So how do you deal with them? If a person tells you, I'm so busy, or I'm too busy, make it a conversation. What keeps you so busy? Now you turn that objection into a way for you to get the information you need. Oh man, he works, 18 hours a day. Wow, I'm going to give them this book or that book. So if they say I'm so busy, I'm like, oh, what keeps you busy? So I already have a church. It's another objection you'll hear. I already have a church. Really? What church do you go to? It's so nice to meet fellow Christians. It's like it's like a breath of fresh air. You have to turn those objections around. And sometimes, I've even used the fact that there are churches around. I'm like, oh, do you go to that pretty church down at the corner of here and here? Make it a conversation. They'll say yes, or they'll say no. And then most likely they say, oh, I don't go to that one. I go to the one that's over here. Oh, okay. Well, it's nice to meet other Christians. It's really nice to see someone different. it totally distracts them and helps them forget about their objection to begin with, because you totally turned it into a conversation. You need to sympathize and agree with their objections. Not repeat the objections, but you need to sympathize and agree with them. How do I explain? For example, when I said I am so busy, you're like, you agreed with the fact that they're busy. You didn't disregard the fact that they were busy. You said, oh, what keeps you busy? You agreed with them, but now you were like, oh, okay, so what keeps you so busy? I am so interested to know, what is it? Try to understand before you give a solution. You're complimenting him for his thinking. You see his point of view. It will be easier for him to see yours later. So when somebody gives you some sort of, objection, whichever it may be, you need to make sure that you understand what he or she is saying and try to compliment him on his train of thought, because it is important. You can't disregard the way they think. And then you can disagree, but agree first. First you were like, oh, I understand what you're saying. With this nowadays, with the economy that's so extremely hard, we need to work so hard. You agreed with him first, and then you can disagree, say, but it's so important that you take time for yourself, otherwise you're gonna go crazy. You know what I'm saying? I agreed with him and then I disagreed. I wouldn't use my examples on the doors. You gotta let the Holy Spirit lead you in those things. I'm just doing it here at the top of my head. Don't, for any reason, challenge their objection, okay? They've already decided to buy. So if you challenge their objection, and that is extremely real to them, you've already given them the negativity, and you're like, you totally disagreed with me, now I'm going to disagree with you, which people do that without even necessarily thinking about it. It is important, therefore, that you answer objections before they even come. Anticipate an objection. People, in their body language, which we did talk about last time, just as you say things with your body, they as well say things with their body. Sometimes when I was in missionary school, I used to always do this. And that's how my teacher would know that I had a question, or that I wasn't sure, or maybe I was thinking too hard. My face used to give him something to work off of. The same is with whoever you're at the door with. Their face is telling you whether they have a question about what you just said, or that they didn't understand what you're saying. So you need to anticipate and look at their body language. So that way, if you anticipate them, you can answer the objection without them actually speaking it through. Because once they speak it, their mind hears it, and it's like they're reinforcing their own objection by speaking it out. So it's much, much better that you use their body language in order to answer their objections before they come to light. And you might be thinking, oh man, that's hard. It might be a little bit tricky at the beginning, because now you're being awakened to different things. But as you do it more often, as canvassing program goes along, you are going to get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And before you know it, you're going to be anticipating objections a lot more quicker than you did at the beginning. So how to anticipate them? You may notice them about to ask a question. Answer it before they ask. How we put up a finger and opened up our mouth? That was a way for us to let them know that, we have something to say, we want to interrupt. Then if you notice that they're about to ask a question, try to think, what is the question about? It probably is about what you just said. So answer it before they ask. Remember to be courteous and not cut them off, though. A pent-up objection will distract them. So if they have a question or an objection and you didn't give them the opportunity, but you didn't answer it either, if the question stays in their mind, it's going to distract them from whatever else you're saying. like any discussion with another human being, you can tell when two people are arguing that they're not listening to each other. While one's speaking, the other one's thinking of what they're going to answer next or what their next statement is going to be about. So in most discussions, no one's listening. So when you're canvassing, make sure that you anticipate the objection and that you do answer them, but make sure that it is answered. That way they're not distracted. Don't give them permission to give their objection unless you can tell it's pent up, you haven't been able to find it and answer it. If you can distract them from the actual objection, please do so. Distract them entirely from the objection. But if you notice it's this pent up, once again, I repeat myself, find it and answer it without them necessarily speaking it. You're trying to not speak it. Let them speak it. One thing you never do with objections is repeat them. If they say I'm too busy, don't say, oh yeah, you're too busy, or no. There's a difference between saying, oh, I understand you're too busy, to what keeps you busy. You totally made that into a conversation. You just don't want to repeat the objection because not only did they think about it, one, then they heard themselves say it, two, which ingrained it more into their brain, but now they're going to hear you repeat it. Now it's completely ingrained into the brain. Therefore, you never repeat the objection. Turn it around so that it becomes a conversation. Half the time they will forget it themselves because it was only a smoke screen, so forget it yourself. Don't repeat either right after they say it or further in the canvas. Sometimes because we're too nervous, and believe me, I've made a lot of the same mistakes, is we repeat it, oh yeah, this might not be a good book for you because you're busy. No, don't do that. Don't ever repeat it, either immediately after or later on. If they don't like a book, agree and go to the next. Don't push a book because this is the book I want to sell. No, your point is to meet their need. So if they don't like it, agree, affirm that you like it, that it's good for them, but don't push it to them. You need to exalt the value and minimize the value of the book and minimize the cost of the book. This is a lot of the times people will tell you they have no money. One thing it's important that you do in your canvas throughout the canvas is that you exalt the value by sharing your personal experience to the book. Which parentheses, I hope that some of you are making yourself, what's the word I want to use? Acquainting or, making a relationship with the book. To Steps to Christ. If you never read it, try to read it before the program. If you already read Steps to Christ, then read Desire of Ages or The Great Controversy. Become acquainted with the book. That's the word, acquainted. So because in order to exalt the value of the book, you share experiences that you've had with this book. Steps to Christ is one of the best books in the world. I've read it more than once, and it has helped me every single time. How can anyone argue with that statement? And if I say how much it has helped me, by just their mind, they're going to be like, if it's helped her, it can help me as well. So get to know the additional information on each of the books, and that way your canvas is not dry and it's not impersonal. So you need to exalt the value of the book and then minimize the cost, because sometimes it is a little bit higher than they expected, than their interest. But once you exalt it, their interest peaks. I need to make sure that from the canvas and your prices, the third thing that you need to know very well is the answers to your objections well. There are 4 main objections, and you need to have the answers to these objections very well. Maybe I'll take the time to deal with this in the next video, but You need to know these answers very well. You need to be confident, answer quickly, and move on. Do not leave any, dead air space. In fact, you don't want to have dead air space at any point in your Canvas. That's not acceptable. Right now, I have some dead air space because I'm thinking about what I'm saying. I want to make sure that I'm bringing out the points that I need. But in your Canvas, you're not thinking. All you're doing is observing. You know why you're not thinking? Because you memorized that Canvas. All you're doing is that Holy Spirit inspiring you to, bring those books that they need, say those things that they need to hear. It's all about them. So it's not about teaching, it's about touching their hearts, and that can only be done by the Holy Spirit. There's no need of dead air space. Answer objections briefly and move on. If you get stuck for a long period of time in answering this objection, it magnifies it in their mind. So you want to do it quickly and go on to the next thing, or go on with the next book that you want to bring out, or the next, whatever the next subject may be. Here, one good thing to do is to answer objections by quoting someone else. What do I mean by that? Well, let me give you an example. Objection. My children are too active to read. So notice that this is a mother and she's giving you an objection. My children are way too active to read. And this is the way you answer. Healthy children are active. You just agreed with her. You just said you're right. Children are active. We wouldn't want it any other way, would we? One mother, notice I'm quoting someone else. One mother said that what she liked about these stories was that they were short and the children could finish them before they lost the interest, and every story has a moral to it. Just notice this lesson and bring them back to the book. So what I agreed with the objection, and I quoted someone else, another mother who knows what she's talking about, and she's like, yeah, and these stories were short, so I didn't lose their interest, but yet I taught them a moral lesson. So always quote someone else, someone else who bought the book. Turn the objection into a reason why they should buy. For example, I have no time to read. And then you say, well, the publishers had busy people in mind when they made these. I'm speaking of God's answers to your questions. Like, I don't have time to read Great Controversy, the Great Controversy. Oh man, the publishers had this book, had busy people in mind when they wrote this book, and now you give them a God's answers to your question. It's like quick answers, then you canvas them and give them a turnaround so that it becomes a reason that they should buy. This is a lot of information, and I'm going real quickly through them, but just look at the video once, listen to what I'm saying, look at the video twice so that it becomes ingrained into your mind, and in your everyday, try to bring anybody's objection about anything, oh, I don't want to go to the park. Turn that objection into something positive, into something to learn how to bring it about so that they should go, or however way you want to do it. But make sure that you become comfortable with objections, and that you realize that they're positive and they're good information that you need to know. We're going to go over objections constantly while we're over there, but listen to the video once, listen to the video twice, become very acquainted with what I'm saying, and so by the time we start the program, you are set to go. I hope you have a good afternoon, a good day, and once again, we will see each other soon. God bless.